Mo Kudus.
Second?
Mo Kudus, injury update.
He's going for a scan here, 1 o'clock to clarify the issue. So, unfortunately, I don't have, a big update on it.
Okay, so, but obviously ruled out for
most likely ruled out for Bournemouth, yeah.
With Destiny, he's due back, right?
I haven't talked about that before, so he's training and he's looking better, so that's positive.
Okay. And as it's Bournemouth, I'm going to ask you again because it's Dom's old club, the likelihood of he even maybe been involved, travelling with the team, that kind of thing.
No, we will not, but positive going forward.
Brennan Johnson, I know you've answered a lot of questions about Brennan Johnson, but I was here late last week and I said to you, you tried to buy him when you were at Brentford. What's changed? And you said I could ask you again when the deal had been confirmed. So I'm asking you again.
Well remembered, yeah, that's fair. Two different situations, two different clubs. Brennan have made himself a club legend in some ways, scoring the winning goals in Bilbao, winning the fantastic Europa League trophy. Done well, were the top scorer last year, I think, in all competitions, doing well. Then Mo Kudus came in, playing on the right wing, which is also Brennan's best position. Not that he can't play to the left, best position. And then for the long-term plans, there was an opportunity to sell Brennan now and give him an opportunity to try something else. So that was the right decision.
Because quite recently, similar players, if players can be similar, have similar profile, similar positions, have been sold for much more than 35 million. I wonder whether you felt the club had got the right value for him.
That is someone who's very good at negotiating prices and buying and selling players much better than me. So I think that's the question for them, if I'm fair. I think that's fair.
Okay, fair enough. Again, last time I was here, I asked you about a job interview that you had a couple of summers ago. Chelsea, you didn't get the job. I asked if you'd had a lucky escape. The same day, I think you've revealed you had an interview for the Manchester United job. Same question, did you have a lucky escape?
I'll probably repeat it, repeat my answer from last press conference. We don't know what's happened behind the scenes. That's up to you guys or journalists following Man United closely. It can be something with the head coach, something with the ownership, leadership. It can be misalignment, whatever. Most likely the most common reasons for that a head coach is either stopping or getting sacked. I think it's just another example from my point of view that it's very difficult to achieve sustainable success if you change key personnel in clubs, like the head coach, like the sports directors. I think if you think you have the right ones and you're aligned, you need to do it over a long time. So now it's 2 clubs with 1.5 years. Again, I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that's actually the facts. In that sense, there could be many reasons for it. I just don't know. In this fantastic, beautiful football world, is you win one day and play well, you're in heaven. You lose and you don't play that well, and you're in hell. The best clubs, they are aligned, ownership, leadership, and head coach. Over time, and you keep the noise out, and you look at what's the progress behind it. It goes up and down, and hopefully over time more and more up, and then you achieve something big together. And the 3 biggest, latest example of that, of course, is Liverpool, City, and Arsenal.
You mentioned there that you work quite happily as a head coach here and at Brentford. Ruben Amorim seemed to think he was a manager, even though his title was head coach. Is there only a subtle difference, or is there a big difference? You work happily with sporting director or directors personally.
I don't know. I think these days it's more or less that there's all clubs there's a sports director or a technical director or whatever we call it. There's definitely one above you, no matter if you're a manager or a head coach. If you're a manager, I guess is the chairman of the board, or what is it? Or is it sometimes the CEO? I think there's different constructions in clubs, but most likely, no matter if you're the head coach or the manager, it's not like you just got the key for the money box or whatever you call it, and just open it and pull out millions and just buy players and have no responsibility. So for me, no matter what kind of title you have, for me it always needs to be collaborative between the head coach, the sports director, ownership, leadership, whatever. So you're completely aligned in what you do. Then sometimes there'll be disagreements. Hey, we all push, we're all competitive, but that needs to be completely aligned. And again, that's where the biggest success you see is coming.
Thank you. Just finally back to Tottenham. 13th in the table doesn't sound so good, but then if you say you're 4 points off the top 5, that sounds a bit better. It's a crazy league, isn't it?
It's a very crazy league, very even league. I said that I think the competition between teams is very big. The difference between teams is very small. It's small margins, so we need to look optimistic and positive on the future, but also understanding where we are and keep working very hard to improve and make sure we are ready against a very good Bournemouth team. I know they haven't won as much lately, but they are a team that is very competitive with Iola. Watched the game against Arsenal. That was a very tricky game that Bournemouth easily could have at least get something out of.
Hello again, Thomas. I was going to ask you about Christian Romero. Obviously got that FA charge. Did they appeal that? I think the time limit has now passed.
Yeah, we have appealed that, yeah.
And when do you expect to kind of find out? Sorry,
that
might not be one for you.
That I honestly, I don't know. I know we appealed it. I know he's available for Bournemouth. That's the game ahead for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Another defender I want to ask you about, Ben Davies. Obviously came into the team, played 88 minutes even though he hadn't started a game this season. How important is it to have someone like Ben who, presumably he's not a guy that kind of moans or strops behind the scenes, he just kind of comes in and does exactly what you want him to do?
I think those type of characters are so underrated in many ways. Ben is a fantastic character, a true pro, and I would say ambassador for this club. The things he experienced the last 11 years here with all the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs, and with how many, 15 different managers or something like that, or at least a few. He's a fantastic guy to have, and the way he stepped on the pitch with how composure, personality, just helped us a lot. So I think he did very well.
Another player that came in and did well, Matisse Tell. Can he get the minutes under you that he needs, or will he have to head off maybe on loan if you were to bring someone else in this month?
I think it's pretty fair to say that we are maybe a little bit short on offensive options. So hopefully, as I think also is fair, I think there's no one who's really grabbed that shirt on the left-hand side. So I think that's definitely up for, up for grab. So I think it was a positive performance from Matty. I think he did some positive things and got into good situations. Had actually one where he bent it to the long corner, where I think he's probably the best finisher from that position, where I think he is a little bit disappointed himself. It's fair, he's young. It's not that he played 5 games in a row, and then there would probably been a little bit more. I hoped, of course, for him and for us that he could do it, and we've seen it. So that was good, and I think he was also taking more care of the ball. I think it's a big thing. It's also spoke about that against Brentford and Crystal Palace. We lose the ball maybe 20-25 times. You should never lose the ball. That's also part of it. You can't break through. Okay, you protect it. 1 more pass, 2 more pass. Okay, then we go again. But overall, positive.
Something else I was going to ask you. It surprised me when I looked at the end of the game. Spurs obviously dominant in the first half, a lot of the ball. But actually, overall possession-wise, Spurs had less, despite being the home side against Sunderland. How do you kind of explain how that kind of happened? How does Spurs kind of concede possession against a promoted team coming to them, I suppose?
I think there's 2 things. They played I think the first thing, as I said, I agree with you. The first half was by far better than the second. and even first half we didn't. It was not like we had 65% or whatever. And sometimes it's not only about the possession. You like to dominate, but they went man-man, so there's a lot of open spaces to run into. For me, that's more the critical areas that we didn't manage to punish from this game, I would say. Second half, I felt we dropped off in our drop-off runs to open up and keep the ball, and I think we also, of course, we are not of course, but we are a team. It's not like we won 5 games in a row and everything is just free and smooth. So when you're up 1-0, you really badly want to win. That can be a little bit, maybe nervy, a little bit, even that we should just, one thing is our name and fantastic history, and another reality where we are right now.
Finish with George, please.
Hi, Thomas. Just going back to Matty Tell, actually, you obviously tried a lot of different options on the left. I know you're not just going to confirm he's going to start the next 5 games, but are you kind of eager to try and give him a run at left wing now, just to see if he can be the answer after that performance, especially?
I would say that he definitely did a positive impact. Let's see what will happen against Bournemouth, but I'm with you. Is that fine balance of giving some players the trust for a run of games, so they can maybe hopefully find into a bit of rhythm and also increase their performance level. And then the tactical approach of the opponents, which players fit to that, and get the right mix and balance in the team. But matching in general was positive.
And I guess with Bournemouth, obviously that's the next game, an important game. You've also got the FA Cup on Saturday, Aston Villa at home. Huge important competition. Does that kind of come into your thinking when you select the team for Wednesday, or do you have to be kind of head down, just focused on that next one?
For me, it's head down, focus on the next one. Next one is always the one ahead of me or ahead of us. For me, the FA Cup is also hugely important. Both games will be treated very, very important. It's not like there will be, if there's rotation, then it's because of rotation of getting freshness and energy into the team, and that will be the main focus with that.
And because it is Bournemouth, Dom Solanke feels like the sort of the easy kind of topic. Just with him, has he looked over this last week in training? And I guess he's missed such a long period of time. Kind of what gives you the confidence that when he is back, he can sort of hit the ground running and really make an impact straight away?
Today you could see training that he's nice and composed on the ball, and then good decision, good touches, and then we're a little bit more competitive in the small-sided. You'll of course lack. I looked a little rusty, which is completely normal. Now he's unfortunately been out for at least 6 months, right? Yeah, 6 months, a little bit more than that. So of course it will take a little bit of time. So even if he's ready for in whatever time in the near future, hopefully. Then I think we will be surprised if we just see him hit the ground running. Very few players does that.
And just finally with the opponents, Bournemouth, Andoni Iraola obviously had a brilliant couple of last 2 seasons there. A bit of a difficult time now, but you've got a very good record against him. Won 3, I think, out of the last 4 when you was the Brentford boss. What is it about him that you admire, and I guess what makes his teams very difficult to play against, even though you obviously have a good record against him?
I think Iraola has done a top job down there. First and foremost, being part of creating a interesting team with interesting players that done well and developed them, so they also gone to on paper big addresses. They play a very aggressive pressing game. It's one of the best pressing teams in the league, if not the best. They play with incredible intensity. When they do that, also play fairly direct. So, if you press, boom, there's a ball behind and need to deal with that. And they had a very lively front 4 no matter who plays. So that's where we need to be good and compete, but also be smart.
I just wanted to ask about the challenge that Tottenham face at the moment with trying to attract certain players. Because you're in the Champions League, but as you've said, the last few Premier League seasons haven't been right at the top of the league. How attractive is Spurs right now from the perspective of top quality targets?
I think we are very attractive in many ways. I think Spurs is a fantastic club with a huge potential. and I think some of the boxes you need to tick is, of course, the stadium and the training ground and the potential. Of course, if we compete against the three teams that but clearly is ahead of us, City, Arsenal and Liverpool, unfortunately, then those three clubs are not probably more attractive right now. It's not the same that we can't attract some of the players that also want to go to those players. It depends a little bit if there's a spot available for the player to play in those clubs and here, for example.
And Bournemouth earlier this season, I think it was Daniel Levy's last game at the club. He talked the other day about the most in this whole club's history of turnover of key staff, but he's the one that everyone, even outside the Spurs, outside of Tottenham, will be aware of. He's a huge figure. First of all, can you give us an idea of just what it's been like in the sort of post-Daniel Levy era, particularly when it comes into this transfer window where he had such a hands-on sort of role to play, particularly when it came to signing?
Of course, my experience is very limited, I must admit. I think, as I understood, he was the one that was signing off and negotiating the final bid, as I understood it before. He will not do that now. That'll be more down to Johan and Fabio doing that job. I think the preparation in terms of the recruitment side is we have a good recruitment side with the numbers behind it, looking at the players and then take the right decision on that, and then it's down to Johan and Fabio to do the job with the agents and get the deals done. So I guess that's the biggest difference. Yeah.
You mentioned Fabio.
Fabio is. I think it's a little bit. Fabio is. We're paying his wage. He's working very hard. As I said, I think last time I spoke to him the day before. Not to yesterday. No, I spoke to him in the morning. Before the game. Yeah.
With Daniel, it often felt when the results were going against Spurs, he was the lightning rod, the one that the fans all sort of focused on. It feels like now he's gone, everyone can get the sort of flack, I suppose, particularly yourself as the figurehead, the manager. Is there
I think it can only be me.
I was going to say, is there an element of feeling like there's no sort of shield in the form of Daniel Levy now for you to sort of the manager to sort of stand?
I think it's isn't it more or less the way it is? That was in Brentford. It was the same. It was me. It was the front of house. It was me who did all these press conferences before games, after games. Very rarely Phil Giles or Matthew said anything, for example. I think Phil only said something in the end of transfer windows, a little bit like Johan Fabio did, or Johan did. What was it? Back September, I think. So I think that's a common thing. So should it be different? Maybe. Right now, it's the way it is.
I just want to ask you. I'm going to try my luck with this one because I already can sense what your answer is going to be. But you have just sold Brennan Johnson for right winger. Mohamed Kudus, we're hoping, is fit, but he's looking like he could at least miss the next game. Fans are wondering what's going on with Dejan Kulusevski. Has there been a setback with him? Can you reveal anything about when we might see him back playing? Because he's such a key player.
He's a key player, and he's been such a key player for us. So I completely agree on that, and I would love to have him back soon. Unfortunately, it was a tricky injury he got. So it just take time, and they're working very hard, and he's working very hard to come back on pitch.
Alex.
Would you like some of that load you spoke about, the transfer fee with Brennan and other bits as well? Would you like some of that load taken off you from perhaps the people above you in terms of being more front-facing towards the media?
I think the biggest thing, because you can do it in many ways, I think the biggest thing, which we are, is that we are completely aligned. So the biggest thing is that, let's say, Johan, Fabio, Vina and I are aligned. That's the biggest thing. And then we also aligned with the ownership. And that's the biggest thing. And then it's me who is answering all the questions. That's part of it, and that's the normality. is it better that you have others also sometimes? Not others, maybe one more, a sport director or a CEO or whatever it is, to say something? Maybe, I don't know. That's I'm a little bit in doubt of. The reality is, and the norm is, that is the head coach.
Yeah, I suppose it's just part of the...
Yeah, it's part of the job, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if I don't like that, then probably shouldn't have taken the job.
And Matthew Tell, obviously, got shot off within 20 seconds yesterday. That had that chance yesterday you spoke of, trying to bend it to the far corner sort of thing. With a lot of players around in this position, that are probably more kind of dribble oriented or creative oriented. Is it? And you've worked with players like it. I suppose Bruno's a little bit more in the sense that he likes to get shots off. Is it important to have players like that in the front line that are providing kind of a different aspect to the attacking play?
It's definitely, I think it's also an old saying that if you don't shoot, you don't score. So it's probably pretty good to have players that can get a shot off. So I get where you come from, but I also think that Matty is he's a quite versatile player. So he can play to the left, he can play 10, he can play striker. It's probably best is some between the three roles, and he's young. So I think he's not the first time a player that where will he actually end. In the past, I worked with Ollie Watkins. He came as a winger, and I converted him to be a striker, and he's a quite successful striker. Jon Wisser came as a winger to us, and in the end, he ended as a striker. Is Matty maybe the same time, the start as a winger and end as a striker? I don't know. No matter what, I'm pretty sure he can perform in both positions.
I suppose another player that's had to play across the front line as well is Colin Moani. Obviously off the right yesterday, straight off the left, but haven't perhaps seen as much as perhaps we'd have liked from him as his kind of central striker. Do we have to kind of see more of him in that position over, I suppose, a protracted period of time to really get the best and really understand what he's about?
Yeah, I think the challenge is, I think Richie have worked very hard for us during the games as a pressing player, leading the line, competing that very well. He's our top scorer, so he's a little bit the guy who have that confidence right now. Cole has scored 0 goals, unfortunately, and 0 assists. So there's also a little bit of that. I liked that Colo, he can easily play the two wingers. He's done that in the past himself, and also a little bit like a second striker-ish coming in and be closer to Richie. And I think there's a lot of good about him. I like with his abilities, the way he drives the ball, the way he got that little extra pace to go past players, and also the running behind. And maybe also just lack that little extra confidence of where the things just comes off. So I think he had 3 runs with the ball yesterday, where it's like the final touch, then you are in. Richie, if he get the ball through, is hopefully a tap in after 10 minutes, second half, then suddenly you just have that extra bit. So we lack that a little bit also from our players, that just that little boost. And until you get that little boost, the only thing you can do is keep trying, keep doing the right thing.
Tom?
It's quite a Premier League culture, isn't it? The manager sort of fronting up all the time. In foreign leagues, you do get the directors and the president speaking more often in the media. I don't know. Something you brought up?
No, I think I actually thought about it the other day, that it's definitely a thing here in England or Premier League, as you say. It's more the manager or the head coach who face the media all the time. So I think it must be tricky if you don't feel the alignment or trust behind you. But I feel that, so no problem.
Can you talk a bit about your relationship with Vinay? Because obviously it seems like you're very close. But how has that relationship grown, and how does he see the season so far? Because you talked the other day about how there have been some other factors that the leadership understand. Can you just elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, Vinay, for me, is one of the best communicators I ever met. As a whatever, CEO, leader, whatever, he's absolutely excellent in that. I think I'm okay, but he's way superior, which I think is crucial internally for communication, externally for communication. And he's calm, and he takes sensible decisions. 2 rare abilities in football, but also 2 absolutely crucial abilities if you want to have success long term. So for me, Vinay is crucial for Tottenham to have success in many ways. And then, of course, we've known each other for 6 months, so we are getting closer and closer and know each other better and better. I would say I'm okay calm, but also a tiny bit more emotional at times. So that we learn about each other as well. So, but no, Vina is good, and I think is also besides being smart and take good sensible decisions, he also got huge experience, 10 years at Arsenal with how they built it and experienced how they did it.
I was going to say, do you think that history at Arsenal with what happened with Arteta, where it had a very bumpy start, not just the start, you know, a couple of years where it didn't really go right, and sticking through that, I think that has informed his thinking around what's happening here at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. No doubt about that. Plus, he knows what good looks like. So, and also know how, unfortunately, it can take time to get up to where good should look like. So I think that's definitely beneficial, and also understand the journey we're on.
Which is quite rare, because a lot of chief executives, they sort of, you know, quite quick to fire. I guess his experience with Arteta at Arsenal kind of shows that it's worth sticking through that early period.
Yeah, definitely. But also I think it's the competitiveness of the Premier League. We all, you know, it's fantastic. So let's say there is 8 clubs that is really fighting and dreaming of coming into the top 4 with the Champions League spot. That means there's 4 that's going to be hugely disappointed. And if you then look at the wages structure or that index, you know, how that is, then you can see, and then you can look where have you been and on what trajectory are you on to go there. So all that taking into consideration, plus you then need to keep the noise out as well. So there's a lot of things to be aware of.